Hello, good evening. Welcome back to learnautomation.com. This is Mukesh. In this video tutorial, we will see how to read Excel file using Apache POI. We will be discussing on Apache POI. So some people call it Apache POI, some people says Apache POI, but that doesn't matter because at the end of the day, we are going to use it to read and write Excel files. So let's get started. We'll see what exactly we are going to cover in this video tutorial. So we will see what exactly this Apache POI is. Then we will discuss why we are using this Excel sheet in our Selenium WebDriver script and why it is required to use an Excel approach in our regular automation scripts. Then we'll see finally how we can use it. So we will download this Apache POI first. Then after downloading, we will get a couple of jar files that we will add into our regular project. And finally, we'll create one Excel sheet and we'll try to read that Excel sheet using Apache POI. Okay. And we will be creating some APIs, or in other terms, you can say we'll create library so that we can reuse the code which we have written. Okay. And let's get started now. So I have not written what exactly, so I have not created a proper slide for this. So if you talk about what exactly POI is, Apache POI is simple set of Java classes. It's a separate library available that is open source. Okay, so they created couple of classes, interfaces, and methods for you so that you can directly use them to read an Excel files. Okay, you don't have to write a separate code for them. So we will download this Apache POI and whatever classes they have written, we will simply import them and reuse them. So the second question comes, why to use Excel files in Selenium? So now if you talk about test data, not only in Selenium, in every automation tool you will find like your test data should come from external source. So if I say external source, it could be your Excel file, CSV file, database data, and so on, right? So the approach will be like we will be storing our test data in a separate Excel sheet and we will be using that data in our script. So now consider the scenario. Let me show you in a form of uh, one diagram. Now let's say if I have 10 scripts, let's say 1, 2, 3, and like this we have 10 scripts. So if I'm using some test data in these test cases, now let's say this is test case 1, test case 2, and test case 3. And all these test cases are using some set of login credentials to access a particular application, right? So if I keep that test data inside my script, okay, so it will be very static way of designing your script. Now let's say in the new release they're changing this login credentials, right? So what you have to do, you have to update your all script. So the maintenance task will be very high because if I talk about 5-10 script, it's perfectly fine to go and manually update. But if you have more than 10, let's say 50, 100 scripts, so if you go and update every test script which having the test data, it will be very boring and you can say very bad way of doing this, right? So what we will do, we'll remove this test data from these scripts and we will keep our test data in a separate file called, let's say in this example, Excel files, and I will be storing all data in my particular Excel file. Now, so as of now, let's say we are having username password. So I will be storing this username password in this test data Excel sheet. So every time whenever I will write my test case, I will take this data from Excel sheet. So in case any changes happen, I will not update my script. I will simply go and update my Excel sheet. So this is one way. Okay. We have so many other usage of this Excel sheet like data provider, data driven testing. So that we will discuss in the next video tutorial. So as of now, we will be using this test data from an Excel sheet. So in this tutorial, I'm going to create an Excel sheet and read this Excel sheet. Then we'll see how to use that test data in our regular script. Okay. So this is why we are using Excel sheet in our Selenium script. So I think everyone is clear with this. So let's download this Apache POI. So I will go to a regular browser. I will simply create a new browser. Simply, you can open Google and simply type Apache API download and hit enter. So you will get this first link. So simply you can open in a new tab or just click on that. You will get their official website. So you will get some additional information like what are the beta version available. So beta version that they are working on is 3.13, and the latest that is very stable version is a PY 3.12. So I will highly recommend use the stable version. So I will click on 3.12. So it will redirect me here. Now you can click on binary distribution, source distribution. I'm not worried about source, so I will simply go and download the zip file. It's around 24 MB file. So let's click on this. So if I'm using Windows, I will use the zip file. So in case if you're working with Linux and Unix system, you may have to download .tar.gz file. That's 17 MB. So I will click on the zip file. Now it will redirect me to so many different sites like backup sites, mirror site. I will go and click on the first one. So simply click on this. So this downloading will start and I will simply pause this download because I already have this file. So let me show you how this file will look like. I will go to my C drive where exactly I have stored, and I will go to my folder. I will go to this drive folder and I will go to Selenium, yeah, Apache POI. So once you download 3.12, so currently I have 3.11, that's okay because we are not going to use advanced versions, because we're not going to use advanced methods which they have provided in the new version. So you will get this zip file. Once you unzip this, you will get one folder called POI 3.12. Double click on that and you will get couple of jar files here. Okay, you will be getting two more methods, sorry, these folders here. So you need to add every jar file that is coming in this packet. So what I did actually, I copied all these jars from this lib folder, I pasted in the home directory. In the same way, I went to this OOXML lib folder, I copied this XML beans and pasted into the home folder. So I have all jar files here only. I don't have to navigate to different folders. You will not get in this format. You will get some jar files in the home directory, some jar files in this directory, and some in this. So the main intention, you have to add all the jar file which is coming inside this POI 3.11 folder, and you will get some documents as well. So if you have some free time, just go with the documentation part. As of now, let me add the jar file which I copied from different libraries. I have every jar file here. So let me create a fresh project. I will go to file. I will click on new Java project. So let's say learn, let's say read Excel, or let me add these jar files. I already have this project created, so no need to create, but I already have POI, so let me go in a simple way so that you can start from the scratch. Learn automation. I will click on next. Now I'll get this library section here. So right now I created a new fresh project, so I don't have other jar files. So I will click on add external jars. So it's going to Cucumber, so that's a different thing. Maybe I will cover in future. As of now, I will go to the directory where I have Apache POI stored. I will go to Selenium folder, Apache POI, POI 3.11. Yeah, this is the jar files. So I will simply select all, click on open, and you will get all the jar files attached here. I will click on finish. So congratulations, your project has been created. Plus you have added the Apache POI libraries. Now it will take hardly 4 lines of code to read an Excel file. So let me quickly create one Excel sheet. So let me create that Excel sheet in a C drive. C drive I will create a folder in Mukesh drive. I will create one folder called Excel data. Okay, and here I will create one Excel sheet. So I'll simply right click inside this folder, go to new, create a new Microsoft Excel worksheet. Sheet name I will give test data, and this sheet will open. So this is a warning. So let's say I have some test data, say username 1, and I have one more called password one. Okay, so I have one username and password which is stored in this particular location. Let me drag and let me create some more. Uh, yeah, so I have 15 username. In the same way, I have 15 password. Why I'm creating so much test data? Because I will be showing you one way like how you can read all the rows and columns in Excel sheet. So simply I will press Ctrl S just to store this Excel sheet. Now I will go back to this Eclipse, and now I will create a fresh Java file. So I will create a new package. I will say read Excel data. So this is a package which I created. Now I will create a fresh Java class called read Excel. Okay, and I will take public static void main. I'm not using any testng or JUnit testing framework. So this is what I have. So this is the first step. Once everything is fine, you have downloaded and you have added the jar file. We need to use one file class, okay, so that we can specify the path where our Excel file is located. So let me create one object. So this is how we create object in Java. Class and object name equal to new, again class name, and here I will specify the location. So location I need to specify in double quotes because I will be specifying that path in a string format. So I will go to that path and I will take this uh, path that is test data. I will say control A, control C. And in Java you cannot use one backward slash, so I will be using two forward slash. So this keyboard issue actually. So now it will ask you what exactly this file is. Okay, so you need to import one file class that is coming from java.io. Okay, so java.io is a separate package available in Java. Okay, in that package you will get one file class, so simply import this. So your one step is done. It means you have specified the test data Excel sheet where it is located. Now you need to use one file input stream class, stream, and I will create object. So I will say FIS equal to new file input stream, and I will specify this file source here. Okay, you need to specify this file source here because this file input stream is a separate class that will accept this file source. So now it will give you some error. So if you again put mouse over on this, it will ask you please import this file input stream. So that is again coming from java.io package. Now with this package you can understand whenever we are doing any input output related activity like reading Excel, writing Excel sheet. So all the related classes you will get inside this package called java.io. Okay. So now, yeah, it's fine. Now it will give you one checked exception called file not found exception. Okay, if you don't handle this, it will give you this error continuously and you will not be able to run your program. So as of now, you can throw this, okay, and throw the base exception. You can throw file not found exception, but I will be recommend use the base exception. So any exception will come in future, it will handle all type of exceptions. So if you're not familiar with exception, what is throw, what is strike, don't worry. Soon I will create another video tutorial on this and you can have a look on that. As of now, I have done two steps. I loaded one Excel sheet, I specified the file path, and using file input stream, I have loaded that Excel sheet in a form of bytes. Now our actual work will start. So now we will use XSSF workbook. Now you must be wondering what exactly this class is. So don't worry, we will discuss now. I will create one object of XSSF workbook and I will specify this FIS. So we created FIS object, right? Means file input stream class object. I will pass here. So now what exactly this class is? Now this is the class that is coming from Apache POI. Okay. So now Eclipse is giving me suggestion, please change it to XSSF workbook. Actually, I typed B as capital here. So it is giving me suggestion, change it to XSSF workbook where B is small. So I will simply select this. Okay. And this is also, so I will change it to XSSF workbook. So now what exactly this workbook class will do, this will load this full workbook. So in terms of um, Apache POI, this completely Excel sheet will be known as total workbook. Okay, so total workbook will be loaded by this XSSF workbook. Now you will find one more class called HSSF workbook. So whenever you're working with .xls file, so right now I'm dealing with .xlsx file, right? So whenever I will deal with xlsx, I will be using this xssf workbook. But in case if I'm using .xls file, I have to use hssf workbook. Okay, remaining process will be same. So if you are fine with xssf workbook, you can simply go ahead and try the same with hssf workbook. So our three-step done, our Excel sheet is loaded. Now we need to load the specific sheet, right? So right now I'm on sheet 1. So let's say if I have multiple sheets, sheet 5. So if I navigate to sheet 1 to sheet 2, sheet 3, sheet 4, 5, I need to specify which sheet I am going to read. So as of now I have only one sheet which contains the data called sheet 1. So using this WB object which we created now, I will say WB dot get. So we have so many methods which allow you to read sheet. So you can see we are getting two methods. One method called get sheet, which is asking you the string argument. It means you need to specify the sheet name which you are reading. And second method which is asking you the index, at which index your sheet is located. So I will select the second option and index start with 0. So if I give 0, it will focus on the sheet 1. If I give index as 1, it means it's the second sheet and it will focus here. So as of now, I have given sheet 0. It will, so it means it will load the first sheet. Now I will simply go and use XSSF sheet sh1. I'm giving this meaningful name it sheet 1. So it will ask you again what exactly this XSSF sheet. So yes, this is a separate class, so you can import this. Now we are almost done. We have loaded the Excel sheet. We have loaded a specific sheet. Now we need to specify which row and which column we are going to use. Okay, so row and column also start with index as 0. So if I give row as 0, it will focus on the first row. And if I give column 0, it means it will focus on the first column. So if I say row 0, second column 1, it means this set of data. Row 1, column 1, it means second row, second column data. Make sure index will start with 0 for row and column both. So using this sheet 1 object, I'm going to use one method called getRow. As the name itself says, it's a very straightforward which row you want to read. So as of now, I will give static 0. So whatever data is available at get row as 0, it will be loaded. From that, I will call one method called getCell. GetCell means which column you want to read. Okay, so I will say 0. So from 0th row, 0th column, it means it will give you this username 1. Now we need to call one method called getString cell value. So let me show you what other methods we have. So you can see depends on the type, you can call the respective method, like which type of value you want. Like get boolean cell value if you have some boolean value. Okay, get cell comment, get class, get date cell value if you have dates. Okay, if you have error, hyperlink, numeric data. So as of now, I have very simple straight data that is string. So I will call this get a string cell value, and we are done. So once you say get a string cell value, definitely it is going to return you the string data in a form of string. So let me store at data 0. So let me use equal operator, and now you can print this. As of now I'm printing, but you can directly use inside test, so that we are going to see soon. I will say data from Excel is, so this is directly I'm going to print on console. Using plus operator, I will use this data 0 variable, and we are done now. Okay, if you want to see second also, so I will simply let me run this program. So once it is done, we can explore. So let me simply right click on this, run as Java application. Okay, you can see it's printing. Congratulations. Data from Excel is username one. It means it is taking the data from Excel sheet. So let me change it to some other content, some meaningful. Selenium Webdriver and Control S, and let's run this program again. Okay, it's printing Selenium WebDriver. So in the same way, if you want to take some other data, you can simply change this row and column number and you will get the exact data. So let me show you with the second set of data. Row I will keep same. Now let me change column only, and let me change this to variable. So I will say this data 1, right? So it will print Selenium WebDriver. Let me give one space here, and password I will say oh, password, let's say HPQTP is the password that we are going to use. So now it will get the second column and it will return you the Selenium WebDriver, then HPQTP. Yeah, congratulations. So yes, now I hope it's clear for everyone how we are using this Apache POI and how exactly we can use these classes. Make sure this class you should remember XSSF workbook, and in case if you're dealing with .xls file, you need to use HSSF workbook. So this is one way, okay, which will simply ask you row and column and it will give you the data. But if you have a couple of data in this format, how you will do this? So you will be getting one logic, right? Like we can run a for loop and we can get this data. So you're thinking absolutely right. We are going to create a for loop for this. So I will not touch this class, and you can see I'm getting one warning like we have not closed this. So let's close this workbook object. So I will use close. Actually it will create a, you can say, object in memory and it will ask you to release it. If you don't remove this warning also, it's fine, but as a good practice you should close the resource, because this resource, if it is open, it you will get a memory leak in future. So you might have heard of topic called memory leak in operating system when you were in college, right? In the same way, if you don't close this object, this will be open and sometimes you will get memory leak in Java. So better to close it. So in the second scenario, let's read set of data. So I will rename this to read Excel1. Okay, so simply I copy pasted here. I will simply remove this because I don't want this now. Now I need to check how many rows I have so that I can run a for loop. So using this sheet1 object, I will call one method called get last row number. So what exactly it will do, it will simply return you the number of rows you have. So one special point here. So if you have row 15, so you can directly count from here, right? 1 to 15. But the count it will return you 14. And the reason is it will start with 0. So it will give you 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. And the count will be 14. So it will return you the count. So let me store in a variable called row count. So I will simply store in an integer data type, and variable name that I use is row count. So as a safer side, I will simply do a sys out and check. I will say total number of rows is sorry, my keyboard issue actually. Total rows is, I will directly print this row count, and now I can run a for loop. So I will start with 0. This is the for loop syntax. If you are not familiar with for loop, don't worry, just follow this structure which I am following. So for is a keyword, then you need to initialize a variable. So I initialize integer I equal to 0. It means our loop start with 0. Then it will go till the number of rows we have. So we have row count, then I will say I plus plus. Okay, so what it will do, it will start with 0 and it will go till the number of rows we have. So what I'm gonna do now, I will simply use the sheet 1 object that we created. Then I will say get row. So row I need to change every time. So I will make this I, because every time I am going to use the new one. Get cell I will say as 0 and dot get string cell value. So I will get the test data. I will store in a string format and let's say data 0. So every time it will run a for loop, it will get this I value as 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. In the same way, it will run till the number of rows we have, and every time we will get the data in a variable called data 0. So I will directly print this as of now, because I'm not going to use this test data in Selenium script as of now. So I will say test data from Excel is, I will use plus operator and I will say data 0. Okay, so if you run this program, it will take all the data and you can see it is printing. It is saying total number of row is 14. Why it is 14? As I mentioned, it will start with 0. So you can say total count will be 15. So you can directly mention here plus 1, because I know I'm going to add one more every time, because the row it will start with 0, but I want from 1. So I will make it 1. And if you see the console output, it is giving username 2, 3, 4 and so on. So this is how you can read the data from Excel sheet and how you can read the complete set of data. So if you want to read another row, another column, you can use this get silver. Now, if you want to check from which row which data is coming, I will do a small modification. So I will say data from row. I will use plus operator. Then I will use plus operator again, and I will say data from row 1 is plus data 0. Okay. So let me show you in a debug mode, so at least you can visualize how exactly it works. So I will put one debug point at line number 22. I will simply right click and say toggle breakpoint. Okay. And if you want to debug this program, simply right click, select debug as Java application. Okay, it will ask you, do you want to debug this? So say yes, remember my decision, yes. Okay, so you can see it has loaded. So on top you will get one window called variable. So whatever variable we are going to use, it will list here. So we are using src, right? FISWB sheet 1, everything it has loaded. Now our control stopped at line number 22. So I will simply use this button called step over. You can use F6 as well. If I press this, you can see the row count is coming 14, right? So I will press one more time. So this is statement executed and you can say total row is row count plus 1. Actually it is concatenating this, so we need to add this inside parenthesis, then only it will perform this plus operation. Right now it is adding 14 with 1, so it's showing 141. You can ignore this. We'll make the changes here. Now it will run a for loop. So just see here, I value is 0, right? So now if you execute this statement, I value will be 0. Okay, and you can see the data is coming Selenium WebDriver. That is exactly coming from Excel sheet. Now it will print. So data from row 0 is Selenium WebDriver. Right now I value is 0. If I execute one more time, I value will change to 1 and it will return you the second row. So you can see data from row 1 is user 2. Like this you can simply run it and check how exactly it's working. So it will run till the number of rows you have. So right now I think I reached to I value as 14, right? So username 14 is coming. If I press one more time, I value is still 13. Now row count changed to 14, so it came out of this loop and I'm simply closing this. Yeah, your program stopped. So this is how you can debug your project, and if you want to see how exactly it works, you can run in a debug mode and you can see how these variables are changing. Now if you run in a simple mode, it will run in just 5 seconds. So if you simply run as Java application, it will hardly take 5 seconds to give you the data, right? So the next topic which we are going to cover. So till now we have seen how to create Excel file and read the data. Now we need to create a library so that we can reuse this. So till now I'm doing coding every time. I'm not utilizing the code. That's not a good practice. So let's create some library and we will parameterize it in a such a way. So depends on the user arguments. That is a parameter. It will return you the data. So don't touch this code. If you want to customize this, you can customize. Safer side, I will create a new package so that it will be very clear for you. So let's create a separate package. Let's say this package is library. And let me close the unnecessary window so it will not confuse us. Okay, so we have this lib folder created. I will simply go and create a new class called Excel data config. I'm creating this class and I'm simply clicking on finish. Now I will create a constructor here because I want every time to load the Excel sheet. So I will create a constructor here, and how we create constructor, say public, and give the same as class name. So our class name is Excel data config. So we will simply create one constructor and let me parameterize it. So I will create one parameter called string and let me give Excel path. So this constructor will ask this Excel path wherever exactly Excel is located. And now you don't have to write the code, so we can directly take the data from our previous program. This is the code. Okay, so you can see we have taken the code from our previous program. So whatever Excel path will come, I will directly paste here. I'm not going to hard code this because it's not a good way. So let me remove this and we'll make it customize. And this is the local variable as of now. So let me create these two variable as a global variable. So this is how we can create a global variable. I will simply copy and paste here on the global label and simply remove this. In the same way, I will create this XSSF sheet as uh, global variable so that I can use in another methods as well. So you can see it is throwing checked exception again. So you can use throws or you can use try catch. So let's use try catch because if I throw from here, when I will use it inside my test, again it will throw exception. So better I will surround this code with try catch. So I will simply select all lines of code, right click on this, and you will get one option called surround with, I will say try catch block. So these 4 lines of code will surround with try catch block and it will create 2 catch block actually. So let me remove one and here I will simply give the base exception. So in catch block you can simply use base exception called exception. In case any issue will come while reading Excel sheet, it will come to catch block, and in catch block I will simply say e dot get message. In case any exception comes, it will simply print the message. So our Excel sheet is loaded, okay, using this constructor. Now we can create methods which will simply ask you the row number and column number plus sheet number, and depends on the data, it will return you the data. So let me create one public method with the return type string, because every time when I give some parameters, it will give me the data in a form of string. So return type I have created as a string. Then I will say get data. So this method is not parameterized. So let me parameterize it in a way like it will ask you the sheet number. Then it will ask you row number. So I will create as integer row, plus I will create one argument called column, right? So it looks pretty fine now. It will ask you sheet number, row and column number, and based on the arguments, it will call the respective method. So we have sheet 1, right? If you see, we already have an object called sheet 1. I will say dot get row. Row, this time we will not keep static. So whatever arguments user will give, I will directly pass here. Get cell. So whatever column user is passing column, I will pass here. And dot get string cell value. It will return you the string. So let me store in a variable called data. And finally, I will return this data. So you can see I'm returning this data. That's the reason I kept this return type as string, so that I can reuse this. Now it looks fine, right? We have one separate library that is totally responsible for reading data. Now every time I am not going to write this 5 lines of code. So how we can reuse this? Let me create a new Java class, and this time I will say read Excel data. I will take public static void main. Since I know I have library created, I'm not going to write the code. I will directly say, so our class name is Excel data config. So I will say Excel data config. Let me create object name is obj1, or let's say Excel only, equal to new Excel data config. And if you remember, we have parameterized in a such a way it will ask you the path of that Excel sheet. So Excel sheet path, I will specify this only. See, if you don't want to create a reusable action, it's perfectly fine. Okay, this is the good practice to use some libraries. Now it will ask you what exactly it is. So I will say import this. So it will import from the library. And yes, we are done now. Now if you want to use any data, I will say Excel dot get data. I will give the sheet number. Sheet number, uh, actually we have taken sheet name here. So if you focus, we have taken, where is exactly our config file here? Here we have taken get sheet at 0, right? We should not take this code here. We need to parameterize it, and we need to write here. And we need to make this as get sheet at, so it should be integer, and I will say sheet number. Which sheet you want to use? Now I can directly say I want to use 0th sheet, 0th row and 0th column. Right, so what it should print? It should print Selenium Webdriver, that is present at 0th sheet, 0th row and 0th column. So let me run this. It should print Selenium WebDriver, yes. Right, now you can see it's a very good approach, right? We simply created library. Now whenever we want, we can use this library and we can use it. So this is the way how you should write your code, so that if any changes happen, I will not change my test case, I will update my libraries only. So just to check our library, I will keep my name here, Mukesh Otwani, and I will I will keep this inside sheet 2, and I will make the changes here. This time I want to read from sheet 1. Row should be 0. Column, let me print 1. So it should print Otwani. Sheet second. Row will be 0, but column will be second. So let me print this. It's not, it's still referring to the first sheet. So let's check what exactly happening. So our config file is this. Okay, here you can see we have hard coded it 0, so we need to make the changes here. So whatever sheet number it will pass here, and it will make the changes accordingly. So let me run this now, and this time it should print the exact data which we are expecting. Here we go, right? So in the same way, you can play with Excel sheet, and you can get the data in a form like a string, numeric, based on the data. So in this library, we have only one method. Likewise, you can create so many different methods, and you can play with Excel sheet. In the next tutorial, I will show you how you can create more libraries and how you can use this test data in our test script. Okay, so I hope you have understood all the concepts which I was about to cover, and let's check what exactly left. So we have discussed Apache POI, why to use Excel sheet, how to download, how to add Java file, Excel sheet creation, read the data, and finally we created one library to use this code. That's all for this video tutorial. Hope you like this video, so you can share with your friends. You can subscribe to my YouTube channel. And in case if you have any doubt, you can drop me an email to my email ID called mukeshotwani@learn-automation.com. And the same code I have posted on my blog, so you can visit my blog learn-automation.com. And let's connect with each of us. So you can follow us on Facebook, Google, Twitter. And in case if you have any additional doubt, just drop us an email. We'll happy to help you. Have a nice day. Bye bye.